Dear friends, welcome to Rendezvous with Star program on day 2 of Asian Literary Society's Navras 2021. As you know, the Asian Literary Society's annual Navras 2021 festival is a 9 days online festival of art, culture and literature. Like last year, this time again we are having one more glittering star from the field of music. We are truly thankful to Kamini Natarajan ji for accepting our request to grace the occasion with her august presence. First of all, I would like to introduce Kamini Natarajan ji. Kamini Natarajan ji is one of the leading world music, Indian classical and Kirtan singers based in Los Angeles. Kamini ji comes from a family of musicians and started learning intricacies of ragas and complex tala patterns since she was 6 years old. Her mother and her grandmother were her first teachers. She graduated in Hindustani vocal music from Khairagarh University. She trained extensively under Jaipur Gharana stalwart Pandit Arun Dravid ji and is now currently a senior disciple of Vidushi Srimati Padma Talwalkar ji of Jaipur Gwalior Gharana. Kamini has been teaching music since 1997. Currently, she is living in Simi Valley, California, where she teaches, performs, and records Indian classical music, kirtans, and world music. Her music is spiritual, mystical, and simply engaging. She has toured worldwide and performed at many major musical festivals and concert halls. Welcome Kamini in the Asian Literary Society's Navras Day 2 Rondo with Star program.
Thank you so much, ALS, and thank you, Manoj ji, for having me here. It is my pleasure.
So, without taking more time, I would like to ask my first question. Could you tell us about the role of Navras in classical singing?
Sure, and I would actually like to discuss this in two parts. So, first, let's just talk about Navras, right? And then I will get into the part of classical singing in Navras. So, Navras, right? It applies to, of course, more than classical music. Navras applies to most all forms of art and expressions. And let's talk first about, like the Navras, 9 expressions of life, right? It's a concept and it applies to classical music, theater, drama, dance, and also I feel like our day-to-day lives, right? Rasa or the essence, juice are created by bhavas, right? Bhavas, the state of mind. And if we look into the history of Navras, the theory of ras, it appears in chapter 6 of Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra. Natya Shastra is a Sanskrit scripture that dates back to like 200 BCE and 200 CE. It is recognized as one of the most complete exposition in dramatic compositions, structure of a play, and construction of a stage. And it also talks actually about shrutis and swar and ras and bhav. There are like total 6,000 poetic verses describing all of these, describing performing arts, and it's divided into 36 chapters. Chapter 6 is dedicated to ras or the Navras, as we are calling it now, right? This scripture provides a very deep insight into performing arts and explains that entertainment is kind of a desired effect, right, of performance art, but it's not the ultimate goal. And the primary goal of art is to transport the individual in the audience into another parallel reality, full of wonder, where one can experience the essence of one's own consciousness and also reflect on spiritual and moral questions. So Bharat Muni actually in Natya Shastra very emphatically states that nahi rasadite kashchitartha pravartate, which means no meaningful idea is conveyed if ras is not evoked. Yeah. And then he also further states that tatra vibhav anubhav vyabhichari bhav samayoga rasa nishpati, meaning the ras is produced by combination of vibhava, the determinants, consequence anubhava, and the transitory states, vaibhichari bhav. And in Natya Shastra, actually, there are eight such dominant states that are listed. So it was Ashtaras, not Navras. Yeah. So and the ras that it actually states are, of course, love, shringar, mirth, hasya, compassion, karuna, anger, raudra, energy, veer, terror, bhayanakam, disgust, vibhatsam, and astonishment, adbhutam, right? And it also states that the ras and bhav, they work together. Bhav creates the ras. And along with chapter 6, chapter 7 actually describes bhava. Bhavayanti iti bhava, says Bharat Muni. So for each of these ashtaras, not navras, ashtaras, there is a bhav related with that. Yeah. And he says that the bhav and ras, they are both mutually dependent, right? The performer or producer, be it an actor or singer, instrumentalist, they consciously create that bhav, yeah, to get the ras that is desirable. So having talked, well, I mean, of course, talked so much about the ras and bhav. Now let me come to your other part of the question, right? Let's talk about ragas. And when it comes to rags, typically some of these states of mind from ashtaras, the anger, fear, disgust, surprise, those are not regarded as inherent in ragas. They are rather created through drama and the stage action. The word rag itself, it originates in Sanskrit, of course, and is defined as the act of coloring, right? The mind, the mood, emotions in this context. And therefore, it metaphorically says that any feeling or passion, right, especially love, affection, sympathy, desire, interest, motivation, joy, delight, right? And a raga, that composition itself, it comprises of specific combination of notes, right, which are then used by the performer to create a mood, to create a ras, a unique atmosphere. And here actually I would also like to say that there has actually been quite some very technical research that has gone into how classical ragas evoke certain emotions. One of the research that I was recently reading dates back to 1999. It's Balwick and Thompson. So they actually researched and they asked 30 Western listeners to judge the expressions of 12 Hindustani music ragas, and intended basically to express anger, joy, peace, and sadness. And they did find that despite being culturally very unfamiliar, the listeners were sensitive to the intended expression of the ragas. Then a similar study was also conducted in 2008, and in which, again, they studied the emotional response, the rasa, to 5 ragas on a scale of 6 emotions: happy, peaceful, sad, longing, and tense. And the 6th one was, I think, romantic. So both of these research results suggest that ragas do consistently elicit specific emotions. This research, both these research that I'm talking about, they used actually like a very, very technical approach and found that ragas with emotional labels of calm and happy were, some of our major scale ragas: Hamsadhwani, Tilakkamo, Desh, Yaman. And then there were some ragas that were always, labeled as sad or minor or sorrow, tensed. Ragas such as Malkons, Shri, Marva, Miyaki Tori, Lalit. And this finding is all, I have been reading all this research paper, but this is very interesting to me because, when I first came to this country, I did not have the technical Western music vocabulary, right, to talk music with other Western musicians. And then to communicate better with them and to understand and study about Western music, I started learning piano. And one concept part that my instructor used to always tell me was this concept of minor and major scale. And to make it easier for me to understand, my instructor would say that think of major as happy and think of minor as sad. And that actually kind of it's a very simplistic way, right? But it totally aligns with all of this research work that has been done with rasa and Hindustani music. So rags that are desh, tilak kamod, yaman, they are all major scales, they all sound happy. On the other hand, malkons, shri, marva, they are all minor scales, they sound a bit sad. And in my own experience, personal experience and learning, I have noticed that the ragas that are, major kind of a pentatonic, only using 5 notes, such as Bhupali, it's a pretty popular rag, Durga, they are all very high energy. And then there are ragas that have, Komal Re, Komal Dha, Komal Ni, they are all morning time, Bhairav, Bhairavi, Bhairav, Ahir Bhairav kind of ragas. They are used in a lot of bhajans. And then there are ragas that have a Komal Ga, Komal Ni, like Bhimpalasi. They are used for healing, relieving, reducing stress. And then also ragas such as Khamaj, Bihag. They are considered soft, romantic. And then evening ragas, they are really, very dear to me. Purya Dhanashri, Purya, they have this kind of a mystical effect on you. So yeah, I think I
So my second question was, regarding some interesting facts, but you have shared so many interesting facts about the Navras, so I'm not going to ask this.
yes.
So one question I actually wanted to know that out of these 9 emotions, which emotion-centric songs are your favorite,
Okay.
personal favorite?
Yeah, no, that's a good one because I actually find myself very drawn towards rags. I won't say song, but
Yeah.
rags that have a komal ray, and kind of also early morning ragas, Bhairav, Ahir
Okay.
Bhairav kind of ragas. And then I'm also drawn towards those evening ragas that also actually have komal ray, like Purya Dhanashri, Purya. And I find again, I will say this, like pentatonic scales, like very energizing. They just brighten your day. And one interesting actually fact, one more interesting fact is that lot of actually old civilizations, lot of them, all of them mostly have a pentatonic scale. And from Peruvian, Native American. I at one time had a Native American flute. It had only 5 notes. German, gospel, jazz, Mongolic, Chinese, Japanese, Ethiopian. All of them have one pentatonic scale. So it's probably like something in that scale, something in that interval of notes that makes it very like very like happy, cheerful, brightening sounding, right? So yes, so that is
Would,
yeah,
would
yeah.
you like to sing a few ragas for us?
Oh sure, yes, why not? And I have said this brightening so many times that maybe I should sing that, right? Okay. And
Okay,
I
sure.
yeah, I have my Tanpura here, which is of course an app these days. So let me know if if my voice versus its volume is kind of not
Yeah,
balanced well. Yeah.
sure.
Okay, so I am going to just sing a short, Bhupali, right? I'll do a little alap, and you guys can tell me if actually it sounds happy to you. So it's 5 notes. So right, there is no ma, there is no ni. So sa re ga pa dha sa. Ah. जब से तुम सनला गली, जब से तुम सन गली, प्रीत नवे लारी, प्यारे बलमा मोरा, जब से तुम सनला गली, जब से तुम सन 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 So that is a very short, very
Awesome.
very short song.
I don't have words to express. It's simply outstanding. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so
Kamini
much.
ji. It was wonderful. So I would like to ask, a few questions related to your journey. So two questions actually I would like to, add together so that you can reply. First is who inspired you to learn singing, and any interesting incident of childhood that you'd like to share with us. And also, I actually wonder that how you manage your job, family, and passion together with such enthusiasm.
Okay, yes, those are big questions. Okay, who inspired me to learn singing? I would say my mother, Natarajan ji, and her mother, my grandmother, Sundari Raghavan ji. So they both, sang to me, of course. They took me with them to bhajans and satsang. And what I'm actually very grateful for is the fact that they never prevented, or they never even tried actually to prevent me from learning music. These days, I see a lot of parents, stop their child from learning arts and music, especially when that kid is in 10th grade or so, right? They are all, they all say that, oh my God, board exam time, and I want my child to succeed academically. While as a parent myself, I understand their feelings. However, I am like really grateful, really thankful to my parents that they did not think that way. I did well in school actually and academics along with my music training. And I would say that if anything, music actually probably helped me learn much faster and allowed me to focus and concentrate on my academics as well. Now, interesting incident. I am a pretty boring person. Was a boring person. I am a boring person. Very safe, very good kid. But, I would stop there with my good kid thing because probably my mom is listening. But yeah, I mean, see, not incident, I would say, but more of a fact that, when I first started learning, I actually first started learning how to play bansuri, and I was in fourth grade at that time. And I used to wait after school, and this was in Maharashtra, in a small town called Khamgaon. And we used to have a bandmaster who used to live in a very small. It was a hut basically within that school campus. And I used to learn how to play flute from him, and then I would, often walk back home alone. And as a kid, I was like really into flute. I would try to play flute along with the songs, playing on cassette player. I used to even teach all of my neighborhood friends. And I specifically also remember that my teacher, that school's bandmaster, he used to offer me black tea without milk. And I was a child, and I would actually drink it. And I'm not even sure, not sure if my parents even know this actually. they know now. But then, much later in life, when I was in ninth grade, I actually started my formal training in vocal music. So that is kind of, I would say a little bit of interesting thing about childhood and learning. Uh, Now coming to your third question, right? How manage the job, family, passion? Yes. So that is also a very good question, and that is one that I get asked quite a lot. So, see, first of all, I actually consider both my corporate job and music as both of them as my full-time jobs. So I do not consider music as my hobby. And when it comes to passion, I am actually very passionate about my job as well. I mean, the corporate job, as I am with music. And I think it's a myth that one cannot have more than one career, and or once you have a family and you have kids, you cannot do much. I mean, look at yourself, right, Manojji? You are also one example. You are doing all of this. You have a job, you have a family. And I used to hear a lot of those do naam ki savari nahi karna chahiye thing, right,
Yeah.
while growing up. And I'm so thankful that I did not pay attention to it. In life, I feel like there is no do now, right? The life is one big now. Your dreams are one now. It's part of the same now, right? And I see
Yeah.
my music and office, they are like, they are not different, they are all the same. And I find it like pretty easy actually to manage my corporate job, family, music. And in USA, like actually you have to do all the work yourself, right? I mean, cooking, cleaning, maintaining the house, driving the kid around for classes, everything. But there is enough time, and I don't think I actually spend every minute of my time working or anything. I still watch TV, I play with my kid, we travel a lot. So I think it's more of a passion, really, right? It's more of a
Yeah,
passion and
indeed.
priority.
Yeah, actually, passion, fulfilling the passion makes you happy. And when you are happy, you can do, any kind of work, lot of work in parallel. And you have to be happy from inside. So
Exactly.
that purpose and happiness actually the passion gives. So before going to the another set of questions, I would request you to sing something for us. And also just think in mind today. Actually, today we have dedicated for Hasya Rasa. So anything loosely around that, if you can also sing in this
Oh,
session.
okay. I don't know about Hasya Ras because like classical music and Hasya Ras don't go together that well.
Yeah,
However,
yeah.
I will
Any
sing
light
something for
music.
joy. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
also a
Joy,
sign of
yeah.
happiness, right? And
Yeah.
when you say that, actually, one, yeah, okay, I'll sing this. Mhm. So this is in a rag called Ahir Bhairav, and as I was telling you, it's a morning time rag. It's a Komal Re, Komal Mi. Hmm. आज तो आनंद आनंद आज तो आनंद आनंद आज तो आनंद आनंद आज तो आनंद आ आज तो आनंद आनंद पूर्ण ब्रह्म सकल घट व्यापक पूर्ण ब्रह्म सकल घट व्यापक सो आयो ग्रह आनंद आज तो आनंद आनंद आज तो आनंद. And then in the same rag, actually, you have that one, right? It's also actually in this rag. Kal bela sajan aayo re. Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you for spreading the aroma of happiness through this Anandas Raga. So I would like to come to my another set of questions. So could you share your experience of teaching music to children? Could you please share your experience in teaching music to children who have been born and brought up in USA?
Yeah, that's a good question because I can start with actually my own kid. So it is a different experience, that I would say, because I think, see, for the parents here, music becomes a way to connect their kids with their Indian roots, right? That is, one
Yes.
form of that connection. And having said that, I would also actually like to say that many of my students, though, are not of Indian origin, and many of them are adults. But even like, well, coming to Indian kids, right? Lot of them actually do not speak or understand Hindi. So that becomes a challenge, right? Especially with
Okay.
rolling those R, right? So how do you teach, right? So sare becomes sare, right? So then that's kind of an issue. However, I feel like there are really, like dedicated students who try hard. Sincerely, they work towards overcoming these challenges and ultimately learn very well. One challenge that I face as a teacher is simply the cadence of the class, right? Here it is mostly just once a week, and now, of course, online. So, which kind of, in my personal opinion, it hinders rapid progress, right? It takes more dedicated effort from the student to keep working in between those, meetings and classes, right? And when I was a student in India, I remember that I used to like go to my guru's place almost daily, and including weekends, right? Saturday, Sundays. And that helped because, that there was that consistent feedback and correction from my guru. So that is lost in these weekly meetings, right? You don't get
Yeah.
daily feedback. But however, we all have to do, I would say, right, the best that is possible. And learning is more important. And I would say that overall, it is a blessing to teach Indian classical music here in the West. And it is also, I would say, heartwarming to see such dedication from my students.
Yeah. So while listening this, a question popped up in my mind that since last 1 year we all have been facing this problem of pandemic. So I just wanted to ask, when did you last time perform in front of huge audience? And obviously you're missing that, right?
I am missing that. Yes, I am totally missing that. I would say the last big one was in September 2019. It's
Okay.
actually one of the biggest music festivals, yoga and music festivals that happens twice a year here in California. It's called Bhakti Fest. So Bhakti Fest happens every September, and then there is Shakti Fest, which happens May, June. It's huge. Like people from UK, people from even India, some parts of India, they travel to attend this festival. And yeah, I really totally miss that. But then I think even after September, I was giving smaller concerts until February. February was, I think, the last, and then of course in March everything closed down.
Okay, so actually we want to listen one more raga or piece of song from you. But before that, I would ask one question: what advice would you like to give someone who started learning classical singing,
Hmm.
apart from consistency and honing the skills?
Yes. See, consistency, and you will also actually, I think, hear me say patience. quite a
Yeah.
lot when it comes to learning, right? Patience and lots of it. Learn for the sake of learning, because it's a very long journey. And if you have other goals in mind, then I think you're going to end up frustrated and ultimately give up on learning, right? Also know that learning classical music is kind of never ending. I started learning, like I said, right? I mean, formal training, I started when I was in ninth grade. I am like right now, well, I mean, and it has never stopped. Like, I learned, I might have maybe taken a break from learning for maybe a year or so in between here and there, but I have never stopped learning. Like, I learned, then after coming here, I found a guru. Initially, I think that was a bit difficult, but then of course these days everything is online, so you can still have lessons on Skype and Zoom and everything else. So keep learning is what, and be patient, be consistent would be my really, two words.
Okay, great. So, would you like to sing another piece of raga or song for us?
Sure. Yes, why not? And this one again, this one is also one of my favorites. This is an evening rag. Yeah, we are a bit late for this rag, but it's okay. I mean, right now here actually, it was just sunset. A few, I think, around 8:30, because it's peak summer here right now. Okay, let me sing this rag called Puriyada Nashri. This has been my favorite since I was a kid, and probably my parents and my family, they are like sick and tired of listening to this from me, but for everybody else I will still sing it. Hmm. पायलिया झलकार मोरी पायलिया झलकार मोरी पायलिया झलकार मोरी पायलिया झलकार मोरी जनन जनन बाजे जनकारी पायलिया झलकार मोरी पायलिया झलकार पिया समझाऊं समझत नाही पिया समझाऊं समझत नाही सास ननद मोरी दिल की गारी पायलिया झलकार.
It was so soothing. Thank you so much, Kamini. And before we end today's session, I would like to ask you to give a quick message for our community, Asian Literary Society, and its members.
Sure. Yes. Well, first and foremost, I would like to thank you. Thank you, Manojji, and also thank you, each and every member of ALS, because I think it's all the members, right, who make a society, right? And it
Yes.
takes immense dedication to create, organize events like this, as well as for you, especially Manojji, to manage all these various ALS groups. One message that I would really like to share would be, use this platform, right? Use this platform to create, to learn, refine, get feedback, improve, and practice your art. Don't settle for being a mediocre, right? Strive for perfection. Don't say, "Arey, ye to chalta hai," or don't say that this is just for time pass. While it may be true that music and art is a way to pass time, but then make it worth that time, right? Value it, and don't just like spend it away. And I also hear a lot of mujhe kaun sa Lata Mangeshkar banna hai type of comments, right? Generally. And although that could also be true, I feel that one should try to be the best possible version of oneself. So maybe not Lata Mangeshkar, but I can always try to be the best singer that Kamini can be, right? So
Yes,
try for
definitely.
that, right? And the more you practice, the better you will get, and compare yourself with your previous self, right? That is how you can measure your own improvement. We all start at different levels, but I always say that practice over talent will help you kickstart, but practice will keep you going. So yes, and with that, really I see that there are really truly very talented members in this group, and members who have dedicated time towards their art, and members who share passionately. And I think that is the essence of this group. So a big thank you to all of you guys.
You rightly gave actually your message was quite correct. At the end, we have to hone our skill, refine ourselves. Then only, we can also enjoy this journey of art and literature and wherever actually one is associated with. So, heartfelt thanks to you, Kamini. It was indeed a great experience interacting with you. Along with it, I also want to extend special thanks to our audience. I see a lot of comments from them, and the recording of this session will be uploaded on our YouTube channel by tomorrow. Thank you so much, Kamini. Thank you to all of you who have watched this session. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.